Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
The Mazda B series is a Ford Ranger.
Good day to you all.
Interesting. We have quite a show ahead of us. It's going to be slam jam, thank you, man, packed with just goodness and greatness because we got a lot to talk through. Sprinkle Valley rub some people the wrong way, rub some other people the right way. That's not words.
Manscaped.
You want to start over?
No, I think we're good here. And so we're going to talk through the whole Open at Austin tournament, course design, storylines, all of that fun stuff. And that's pretty much going to be the show.
If we had actually watched it.
Yeah, I'm just talking about what I read in the comment section.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lick of coverage. I made sure I blindfolded myself while my son and wife were watching coverage on the TV.
They filled you in.
It's a joke.
Yeah, I just told my
No.
wife, just tell me what was going on the TV so that like I can't watch coverage. I just have to hear what's going on.
Guys, they're saying this because the comments think they don't watch coverage.
I don't know.
But
They'd be correct.
I wasn't talking to you guys.
no, yeah.
This is a conversation between me and them.
Yeah, so let's hop into some ad reads here. All right, folks, get ready for the ultimate grooming showdown. Manscaped is bringing its starting five to take your game to the next level. The chaos of March is here, and I'm going to be straight, it's not that chaotic, but anyways, the ad read didn't know. And you better be ready to dominate, whether you're throwing down on the court or throwing down a reality check on Steve from accounting after he airballs yet another presentation. Tough look, Steve. Either way, this lineup has you covered from head to toe. Stay sharp and feel sharper with Manscaped all season long. Team, this lineup is built for winners, so don't let your grooming game get benched. Head over to manscaped.com and use code GRIPLOCK for 20% off and free shipping. And get ready to score big with Manscaped. At point guard, we have the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This is the floor general, which delivers smooth moves like a perfect assist. At shooting guard, we have the Chairman Plus, which is slick and dynamic, providing a face shave as smooth as a no-look pass. At small forward, we have the Handyman, compact and clutch. Your quick, precise playmaker for those critical moments. At power forward, we have the Beard Hedger. Big beards need big-time power, and this beast crushes even the toughest stubble with adjustable precision. At center, we have the Dome Shaver Plus, dominating the paint and keeping your scalp so smooth you'll never get dunked on by stray hairs. So be the all-star your grooming routine with Manscaped's full-power shave portfolio. Head to manscaped.com and use code GRIPLOCK for 20% off and free shipping. Or if you need it today, you can find Manscaped at a store near you.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Clemson.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds from everything from the NBA, college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BLEAV for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right. Open at Austin time over on FPO. We'll talk through some results first. Coming in at third, we had Owen Scoggins, then we had Kristen Lott, then we had Holland Handley, and winning the tournament was hole 18 at Sprinkle Valley, absolutely dominating the FPO division.
Do we have a stroke total?
I don't know if we have a stroke total, but we have some averages here. So hole 18 at Sprinkle Valley is going to be the first thing we got to talk about because obviously we're not going to get to the results yet because this is round 1 and 2 they played at Sprinkle Valley. And when you look at it, Holland Handley did win the tournament, by the way, and Kristen lost 6 strokes to Holland on hole 18 at Sprinkle Valley alone, ended up losing by 1 overall.
It's crazy that that was it. Like that, just like
she would have won by 5.
Well, no, she should have lost even more strokes to Holland Handley on that hole.
Well, yeah, she would have won by 5 if Kristen across 2 rounds would have taken a 15 across both the rounds instead of a 21 across both the rounds. She would have won this tournament by 5.
Yeah.
So it was a par 5 if you're not aware, and Kristen went 11-10. Holland went 8-7 or something like that. Holland had 15 strokes on it. Kristen had 21 strokes. The average for the FPO field was 3.18 strokes over par across both the rounds out there. And to be fair, it played very difficult in MPO as well, but the big storyline was in FPO. So what was killing most people in FPO was the approach shot. So how this hole worked is you were throwing to kind of a landing zone that was like a weird shape. It had a little cutout in it, so you kind of had a short landing zone and a long landing zone that was attached over to the left.
Those shots were not really demanding. Like, there were some ways to get yourself in trouble.
And some people did. Kristen went OB off the tee.
Right, but for the most part, because also what you had, especially the second day, were, everybody's laying up to the staircase. So, like, nothing at the beginning of that hole really is going to land you anywhere other than a pretty good spot to attack.
Correct.
The island.
So that's how the hole laid out. It was kind of like there. And then from there, you were attacking an island that was somewhat blind because you had to go up this staircase. But what made this hole difficult was from your approach shot, if the disc didn't fly over any part of the island, you could not progress to the drop zone. So you had to rethrow from the edge of OB until your disc flew over any part of the island or landed on the island. If it flew over any part of the island and was OB, you could go to the drop zone and play from there.
That's tough.
So it led to people having to just rethrow from the edge of the OB.
Yeah.
Now,
it was
on
real USDGC vibes.
On coverage, it didn't look like too difficult of a shot, but players kept kind of fluffing it and missing short or missing left and right to not get it there. And then Austin Beer Works, which was basically where this course was. I believe this is the brewery that's like right behind there. But anyways, they posted on Reddit and posted the dimensions of this hole. So this kind of gives you another perspective to kind of break this down a little bit more. So from the beginning of OB to the island green is 150 feet. So essentially from where if I throw my shot, it lands short, I now progress up to, you have 150 feet into the island. So that's the distance between those two.
Not far.
Then the island green is 40 feet by 45 feet. That's how big this island is. So you're throwing 150 feet into a 40 by 45 feet. And the basket, this is, I think, the part that got people in trouble. The basket is 10 feet from the front of the island green. So the basket's pin location was up close. So from the front of the island green to the basket was 10 feet, but the whole island in of itself was 40 feet by 45 feet. Then the island drop zone was 35 feet to the basket. So the island drop zone's at the very back of the island, putting towards the basket. So that is the dimensions of this hole. Erica Stinchcomb and Madison Walker on Jomez as the commentary team tore into this hole. They basically just said it was bad course design. I believe Madison was trying to say, oh, it's not great. And Erica just kept going, Madison, it's bad. Like, let's just call it what it is. It's bad course design. And their main argument was basically it was a blind island. And because of where you were at the end, you had to throw nose up because you had to go up over these stairs to access said blind island.
Well,
and then mint discs. I just want to give everyone the full context before we talk about us. So mint discs they're the ones who were the host of this tournament, course designers, everything.
They dropped a book.
So they wrote on Reddit, which has since been deleted, but when anything's posted on the internet, it's never deleted.
Forever.
So this is from Disc Golf Fanatic, who took a screenshot and posted it. From a different perspective today is the title. So this is the course designer's perspective on hole 18. Yes, we want Sprinkle Valley to be a demanding course. We want you to always expect it to be when you're at Sprinkle. It's built to make you play golf. Par is the goal on a lot of holes, even for MPO. It's mentally a very difficult course to play, especially in tournaments. You see the emotional grind on players, hear it in their voices when they break down a hole. The course slows you down and asks you to think. If you miss something, it will bite back. But watching and listening to FPO on Jomez was really hard. No, we never wanted to humiliate any of them ever. Yes, there are very valid operational and design reasons some changes were made for this event. We wanted to push it. What he's referencing there is this hole did not play this way for U.S. women's. I believe the big difference was it just wasn't an island green.
Yeah.
So that was the big change. So that's what he's referencing, why they made changes for this event. Back to the post. The stairs and hazard area were never really playable areas due to safety and weather. We can't count on good weather, and the pond has been full of water for events before. It's even less fun than this. Playing from the stairs is pretty sketchy too. The perspective is different now that the competition days are over for us at Sprinkle. We get to step outside of it. Operational eyes are different than players' eyes and viewers' eyes. None of the reasons the event changed Hole 18's design can logically outweigh how most of FPO feels about that hole after 2 rounds. But yes, that was the original design plan more than 2 years ago. Further explanation on why it ended up being that way will be given to FPO. Finding that happy medium for the players, Disc Golf Pro Tour, and PDGA in course isn't easy when you try to make a hole like this. We will do our best to find that place, but do still want to have a hole that do still want the hole to have the pressure it needs to have. But everyone has to also understand each other's perspective. We want a hard course. They want to make a living and do the things that are realistic for them. I haven't been able to talk to a lot of FPO directly yet, just in passing. They all understandably weren't happy after the end of each round. So otherwise, we are really proud of the course and venue. It did create the type of golf and shot shaping we wanted to see. Just sucks to put friends through that and not be on the same page about it with FPO. Make them feel used. There's a lot of opportunity there for us. In the disc golf. Yeah, that's the sentence. Make them feel used. There's a lot of opportunity there for us in the Disc Golf Pro Tour to lead by example with our response to this. We'll address it with FPO from here, staying out of the rest of the comments on this otherwise. Wish everybody the best at Harvey.
It's just a disc golf hole.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
they didn't necessarily. Go ahead, Hunter.
I was just final thing before we talk through this hole.
Yeah, you're good.
So Erica and Madison tore into the hole. That's kind of what this post is addressing. I asked on Twitter basically what made this hole play so hard. Was kind of my question. What made hole 18 play so hard? Because I just didn't want to put my opinion out there. I just wanted to ask the general public and see what they were. Pretty much everyone disagreed with Erica and Madison, and they all were blaming the players on lack of course management, bad decision making, so on and so forth, instead of blaming the hole design. So that's kind of the two perspectives. Is some people, mainly the players who were there, were talking about this is just bad course design. This is a bad hole. It's too demanding. From home, which we're watching through a screen, so a lot of different perspective there, but a lot of people who were watching from home were like, this is just bad course management. And the biggest thing they're citing when saying that is, why are you ever missing short? You have 150 feet into the island. All you have to do is fly a part of the island and you go to the drop zone. The hole's averaging 3-point-some strokes over par. Why are you ever trying to just attack the basket when you could be attacking the back of the island green, chuck it out the back, which I think we saw Holland do once, chuck it out the back, and then you're going to the drop zone. Right. Yeah. Now, that breaks the hole, and that's saying this is bad course design. Sure, that's that argument. So now that we have that whole thing, what do you think? Bad hole, bad decision-making, a little bit of both. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, the audience is always going to side with chaos and look for reasons to blame the players.
It's more fun.
Yeah, because it was an absolute spectacle to watch.
Yeah.
Now, because here's what I enjoyed watching it. It was fun. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, they're using the FPO field right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a disc golf hole at the end of the day. However, do I think that the hole has some issues? I do think that a blind island shot that is that small is dumb.
Okay.
Now, I will say this. It is a little bit more redeemed because there were trees on either side. So you knew what direction to throw in. If you look at like the bad shots the players were throwing, they knew it was out before. They didn't have to look at it. They were Kristen was sawing off forehands. She shanked the backhand. Like, it was a pretty easy. Like I was watching the Jomez and watching it back to get kind of my perspective on it, and you kind of knew right out of their hand if the shot was good because is it far enough and is it straight? And if those two were correct, then it was fine. And we saw an entire lead card all chuck it on in the island. Like it wasn't when it was done correctly, it did look quite routine. I think that the hardest part of the shot was that it was the nose up angle. You can lay up not as close to the stairs to give yourself maybe not as much of a nose up angle. That's an option. And I do think that was the only defense of the hole because, well, not the only defense, but the major defense, because if you had a 150-foot shot, I mean, that's a Gannonberg jump putt. If you had that without that nose up, I don't think this is really that difficult. So I think it's not perfect. Like I said, I don't love a blind island shot when it's that small. It's one thing if it's a big island. This one, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I do agree that course management, like, just had to come into play where it's like, especially after you've practiced the course, like, the basket's at the front of the island.
Yeah.
You should be aiming to throw a laser beam past the basket.
Yeah.
And that should have been the goal. And so, yeah, a lot of the poor play was unexcusable. And then Kristen gets the drop zone in the one round and just launches her putt over the basket. So, like, people were getting frazzled. Like, that's what it came down to is, like, I think a lot of the bad play is, like, when players were calm, cool, and collected and executing, it didn't look that difficult. It was either like, okay, you crossed and maybe just went OB or you knocked it on. Because, like I said, everybody was playing to lay up to the stairs. So you were giving yourself an 150 foot. I mean, you're a professional. Like, it's nose up and it's blind, but, like, it's just throw it straight and far enough. It's not asking you to go around a corner. So I do think it's a little exaggerated, the tragedy, but I also don't think it's a perfect hole. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it was cinema just because the hole was designed perfectly. It is a little silly, but yeah, it provided excitement, and sometimes that's what we need.
Yeah, so I think we're dealing with a little of both here. I think there is some very poor course management and bad decision-making going on.
And just bad throws.
And I also think it's not the best hole. I actually talked about it in the preview show. I said I'm glad this is happening rounds 1 and 2 because the calls, I was talking about it more from like the call perspective of
Right.
did a disc cross the island
Which I
or
don't
not.
know if we really had a dose of like controversy at that.
There was the only time I saw
There was,
was
like,
like
a
Des
couple.
Redding was pretty positive.
Right.
One didn't cross in,
Right.
but the spotter called that it crossed in. But it's like we're watching through a camera.
Yeah.
So like Des Redding, like I'm sorry, we don't
the
know.
spotter knows a little better.
If Adam Hammonds was in bounds, we definitely can't call whether this is crossing island or not. But I was more talking from that perspective because it's just a weird rule. It's not something you have to deal with often. And I think that is what we really were dealing with here is players don't have to do this often, right? Is you don't have a hole hardly ever, basically just USDGC, where if I, in the bunker rule, which I think might come back in effect at European Open, but even that, it's not, you don't get OB penalty strokes.
Yeah.
You don't have this often where like I throw a shot
Stroke and distance.
and I'm rethrowing.
It's scary.
You don't have that pressure
Yeah.
often. And so I think that is more what was causing a lot of it was
Totally.
just uncomfort.
Yeah, if you
love that.
gave those top FPO players, if you sat them at the base of the stairs in a few different spots really, and there was no pressure, and you just said, okay, throw 100 of these shots, and they probably land in like 80% of them.
That's what I'm imagining.
So-
is I'm betting during practice it wasn't even in their minds,
Right.
Because it's on paper, it's not that difficult of a shot.
There's only
It's
one way to find out.
150. We got to go to Sprinkle
We
Valley.
have to go to Sprinkle
But it's
Valley.
on paper, it's a 150-foot shot to a 40 by 45 foot island green.
Right.
Right? Those are the statistics. Nose up, not nose up. I think that what was going on is probably during practice, this was a pretty routine shot that players weren't stressed out that much about.
Yeah.
And then you get in a tournament and you've missed it twice in a row.
And that pressure's
and
just
now,
compiling on itself.
Now
Well,
you're
you
stressed.
got to throw a different disc because that's what I'm
I
saying.
love it.
My biggest gripe would have been if, let's say, this shot has to go a little to the left or it's a wide open field, but because there were trees on the left and right, and like you were, and also you have a staircase that's lined up with the island, so like you are given the visual aid. And could you see the basket from the were they players if they were far enough away were they able
That's
to
what I
see the
couldn't.
basket?
It was tough because of the
What does
angle
that
on
picture
coverage.
show? Because I couldn't tell with coverage. Like they
Let me
don't-
pull it up on my phone.
Because even if you
I'm
can't,
gonna
like
say
you're
no, but I
given
don't
a
know.
pathway to it, and like you're allowed to use rangefinders. Like in practice, you should know, like, okay, I need to throw this disc this hard.
This
like,
is the grainiest picture I've ever seen.
I am just wondering if it was a situation like you said where like players weren't having the biggest struggles with it. And so they didn't prep it. Like they didn't know it was going to be as important.
Yeah.
Of like this shot will literally determine the tournament if I can
sense.
execute it twice.
Well, but here's so
That's what it came down to.
I want to finish talking about the players, and then I want to talk about the hole. So here's where I get a little confused, right? So if you look at MPO, like I said, MPO, it was a hard hole. It played 1 stroke over par the first day. It played 1.3 strokes over par the second day. So pretty tough hole, right? Par 5, averaging over par, but nothing we haven't seen before. FPO, this is nothing I've ever seen before. Round 1, it played 2.8 strokes over par. Round 2, 3.55 strokes over par.
Wow.
If I'm Kristen or Holland or anyone in contention, this is where my last point on, I think a lot of this is on the players, is when you're coming into day 2 and you know this whole day 1 averaged 7.8,
Yeah.
I'm not even attempting to make the island.
Just
I'm throwing
blasted it.
2 shots, and then I'm telling the gallery back there, hey, heads up, I'm throwing a tunnel shot 350 feet past there. I'm just ripping this because whether I hit the gap or not, I'm getting across that island.
Yeah.
And that's my play. I'm just
and also-
ripping a backhand, forehand, whatever I got to do.
And also,
to
like-
give myself a drop zone putt that, maybe the drop zone putt is my par save. I lay up, I take a bogey, and I gain 1.8 strokes on
Yeah.
the field.
Which
Yeah.
like that perspective can be hard to have in like day 4 when you're thinking like, or well, let's just say day 3, the tournament's coming more to a close and you're caught up more in like jockeying for position. But it's just day 2 of the tournament, so you kind of can just play the stats. And if it backfires and you do lose
Well, again,
a stroke,
I'm pretty positive that's what Holland did. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure day 2, Holland said, screw it, I'm going deep.
I saw a few players throwing pretty.
You
darn
better be
aggressive
careful, Hunter, claiming
shots.
what somebody did.
That
in
is
this
true.
tournament.
Because I'm pretty sure it might have been her second throw because it looks like she went OB and then had to go to drop zone. So it might have been her second throw.
I would have just out of frustration at that
I just remember a
point.
shot, and I'm pretty sure Holland threw it where it was. She did exactly what I'm talking about, and it was basically afterwards the player was talking like, I probably could have thrown a mid instead of a fairway driver, but I was making sure I went deep.
Yeah.
And it was like that. Now let's talk about the course. Is where the hole's broken. Is when that is your best shot if you're not making the island is to
Right.
Simon Lizotte it and just be like, because he did this at Music City Open. I think it was Heinl Design, right? That he did it at D-Glow. It was D-Glow that Simon did it at. When that's your best option, now yes, the hole's broken.
Yeah.
When it's like what I'm asking a player to do is get up there and just chuck a shot deep because you're going to end up in a better spot. That's where yes, this hole was broken. I think that's where the hole design wasn't the best because at the end of the day, what could have happened? Some solutions here is there could have been just a generic drop zone at like the top of the stairs where you throw a shot, it doesn't make the island, you're going to the top of the stairs, and then everything from if you land on the island from there, you play your normal OB.
Just play it, or just play it like bunker.
Or play a bunker rule, which
bunker crossing doesn't matter.
Funny enough, that was what was suggested in Aaron Gossage and Ezra Adelhold's practice round when they played the hole, is they were talking about this shot and they're like, this should be hazard, is what they were saying.
That's
now,
fine too.
Mint Disc's reason for it not being hazard is basically a lot of the lies up there can get sketchy, and also the weather can make that ground even worse. But bunker rule, to Trevor's point, would be basically I throw short and you don't get a penalty. You just rethrow. It's what was hole 16 at European Open always has had bunker rule until last year they decided not to.
Yeah.
But that's what always happened there, where it's like you still have to execute the shot.
That makes sense.
But you're not getting a bonus penalty stroke.
And it's still adding pressure.
Yeah, there's still added pressure.
Right.
You
Wouldn't be
still can't
quite
get the
as brutal.
discs, but it's not 2 strokes every time.
Yeah.
It's 1 stroke.
Can you just imagine? Like, it is so sad that this wasn't the final day, hole 18. It would have been electrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because we could have literally had
No
a
stroke was
7-stroke
safe.
deficit.
No stroke was safe because someone
and
could birdie it.
we could have used it because there was a huge gap in the FPO leaderboard.
Yeah. So overall, what do I think of this hole? I mean, obviously the hole is going to be changed next year. I think that's a pretty much guarantee.
I do think the design, like the actual, like forget the rules of the hole, like the aesthetics of the hole. It's like it's got some spunk to it, like it's unique and fun. But yeah, obviously,
I think you just got to solve the drop zone. Realistically, is solve the rules around that. Put the drop zone somewhere else and make it where once you go OB, you can progress to the drop zone and still make it where you have to execute a shot from there. So it's not just you throw it OB, you just have a putt. Who cares?
I'm surprised some of those players didn't go out and like light the little wooden bleacher things on fire.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, this was a mix of, was it a bad hole overall? Sure, I'll say it wasn't the greatest hole overall. I think there were some design flaws. Was it also really bad course management and decision-making part on a lot of the FPO players' part? Absolutely. I think we had a 1-2 because at the end of the day, nose up, not nose up, you're throwing to a 40 by 45 foot island from 150 feet out. I don't think that's too big of an ask for the top level of competitors. And, if I'm wrong there, then they're just not as good as I thought. Oof. So
I think I'm not necessarily talking about this hole. I just love situations where you're watching people just have to rethrow shots with the pressure building and building. Oh, it's so much fun.
It is. And I
don't like to be in that situation.
I think it does.
But I love to watch it.
I do think it exploits or showcases one of the weaknesses of disc golf, which is the majority of time in disc golf, you don't have to think.
Yeah.
Like you just don't have to break down holes. You don't have to think risk reward on a lot of shots. It's just throw it to a landing zone, get it as close to a basket as I can. Whatever happens, happens. When you put players in situations like USDGC does, like the European Open at that bunker rule does, like this hole 18 does, you see it exposed where players have to think, and it breaks players. We saw it break Anthony Barella at the European Open. We've seen it break many a souls, hole 17, especially before they made the 3-stroke limit. Johnny McRae was literally on the tee praying because he couldn't get one to land in bounds. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have to deal with that much, but it's some of the most entertaining golf you'll ever watch. Yeah. So anyways, let's talk about the final round now at Harvey Pinnock. Holland was up by 8 strokes, 5 holes into this round. Felt like it should be over. But then she proceeded to go double bogey, bogey, double bogey, and basically handed Kristen 6 strokes across those 3 holes. They go back and forth. Kristen cut it to 2 a few times, including going into hole 18. But it kind of shifted where then Kristen was the one that was given different opportunities, and she was messing them up. She couldn't capitalize on several different opportunities. Being honest, watching that final round, and this is just the final round, not the whole tournament, watching just the final round, it felt like neither of them wanted to win. Like there was just so many opportunities for Holland to slam the door in Kristen's face and be like, again, she was up by 8, 5 strokes, 5 holes into the round. Yeah. And she didn't do it, and there were several opportunities for Kristen to really put the screws to Holland and be like, here's the pressure cooker, we're now tied, or I'm out to take the lead. And Kristen would mess up and throw OB or miss putts, and it was a back and forth in the worst way of them basically trying to pass the lead back and forth. So Holland ends up taking it down after Kristen takes a par on 18. She didn't throw a great second shot and had to run a very long putt, and props to her, gave it a tremendous
It was a pretty good bid.
I mean, 2 inches away from going in. I didn't see it because I never watched coverage, but if I heard that it was very close to going in, it would have been electric to watch live.
On the radio.
Yeah, I was watching my radio. Anyways, I did watch it, and Kristen had a shot at winning it, didn't win it. And so afterwards, I obviously went back to Twitter and was just like, again, I had a feeling of like, I just watched some bad disc golf, but it was kind of entertaining for all the wrong reasons.
It was bad.
And so I wanted to be like, is that just my opinion or is that Twitter's opinion? So I went to Twitter and just said, what did y'all think? And that was Twitter's opinion. It was basically, everyone was like, wasn't great golf, but you kind of couldn't look away because you never knew what was going to happen next. Like
True.
Nothing was guaranteed.
Listen, FPO is chaos. It is what it is. I mean, you got Holland just doing the Holland thing that she does where she will like look pretty good for a little bit, build a lead, and then just absolutely just crumble. The nose up forehands were killing me. Just so many. When she throws her forehand well, she throws it really well, but man, sometimes just straight up into the air. And then the putt gets shaky.
So I was trying to think because like this in general isn't a problem at just this event. So my thought I had that I have now kind of proven myself wrong, but I'll still give you the thought in case maybe it is a good thought. Is I was thinking, obviously a lot of the tour and course design is focused on MPO, right? So a lot of times the FPO layout is almost just a shorter version of the MPO layout or sometimes an afterthought, which has been a problem before. It has been discussed by FPO before. I think that's a pretty known problem. So I was wondering is what we're watching basically the courses are asking too much or being too demanding in certain areas for the current FPO field?
I've said this for years.
Leads to basically it doesn't highlight what they're good at. It makes them try to do what they're bad at and therefore makes FPO look worse than they are. And it makes it underwhelming coverage. Counterpoint that disproves this to me is round 3 when there's no pressure. Holland Hanley birdied every single hole on the back 9 on her way to shooting 8 under. So
I mean, yeah,
the course wasn't the problem there.
Yes, but
because down the stretch, if Holland would have just done that, she would have cakewalked it in by like 10.
We do get some form of entertainment out of like the FPO events like this, where they're just doing the craziest things to hand the win back and forth. But I've always had the most entertainment watching them play the easier courses where like 30 people are in it.
Yeah. Now my counterpoint,
I think it's a more fun product, and I understand the counter argument is, but like that's negative to the best players in the world.
Well, that was historically my counter argument has always been like, well, if we make the courses shorter, like where this was a big thing was USW DGC when Haley King won a few years ago, and it was at a course where it was more or less a pitch and putt. There wasn't much OB. Paige Pierce was coming after the course. It was a whole thing. We talked about it on Grip Locked a lot. And that was when this became a talking point because it created electric golf. Everyone was in it, yada, yada, yada. And my argument back then that I still somewhat believe, but now we're years in the future and it hasn't come to fruition, is like, well, if those are the courses, then the players are going to just rise to the level that course is expecting of them, and it's not going to push the field forward. But now we've had several years of the design that pushes the field forward, and we're kind of in the same spot.
Well, see, I think design is honestly the wrong word. It's really template is the word you're looking for, because what it is a template, like you said. They go to the course, there's an MPO layout, and they say, okay, should we make the basket or tee shorter? Is there a shorter tee? No, we'll make the basket shorter, or we'll add a stroke to par. Like there is no design, and I do believe that if every course were picked or designed specifically for the FPO field, there'd be much more fun events to watch. It doesn't have to just be pitch and putts. Like you could just do things more effectively, but that's the way it is right now. And yeah, I just don't think like it produces chaos. So at least when we're going into the 4th round and there's like a million strokes between 1st and 10th, at least you don't know what's going to happen between like 1 and 4. Like they're going to flip flop a bunch maybe, but I would just like there's just so many, like there's names in FPO. Like I want to get behind some brands, but like most of your players are just never going to sniff the lead card.
Well, I think
like there are just players like I think Val Mayandahana was finally like on lead card, right? Like she finally got it. But like that's a player who hardly ever gets there anymore. And like there's a brand like people could get behind. Like I think it'd just be better to push. I get that Kristen's dominance has probably been good for FPO to a certain extent for a certain amount of time. That's good, but I kind of would like the idea of having more players centric in that division.
Well, I think that because like when you look at FPO and you look at MPO,
I mean, gosh, the separation.
Well, I was going to say is I think that what happens is in FPO, if you're a player that's in contention and in the lead, there's nowhere to hide if you play bad.
No,
because if you're Kristen or Holland, your next closest was Owen, who shot 7 under to get to 2 over and still lose by 3. So like Owen had a phenomenal final round, but she was just so far out of it that she couldn't get back in, right? So basically you had, and at one point Kristen shouldn't have been able to get back in. So it's like now you just have Holland on an island, and if Holland plays bad, then it makes the entire FPO field look bad because like that's the only product is we're just looking at the leader. Versus in MPO, you have Anthony Barella comes out to a slow start. He's on lead card. But what are they able to do? Well, because it's so jumbled up, there's so many other players that create. Now you have Ezra Robinson from like third card shooting a like blazing hot round, and you can cut to him, and he can actually get in contention.
Exactly.
And so it gives you way more to look at, and it's much more interesting. What allows that is the whole field can score.
Right.
So it's not a skill issue for the whole field to score, in my opinion. We're designing the courses, and this is agreeing with Trevor from years ago. We're designing the courses where only Holland, Kristen, Missy Gannon can score, and so if they have an off weekend, no one else can get in contention. It's just not logical.
You just get bad golf.
And so you just
top.
get Holland Hanley has an off final day, and Kristen's a little off. Well, no one else can push them. Right. So you just get bad golf.
Yeah.
Versus if this was an absolute shootout, like the winner of the tournament was at 1 under. And par is irrelevant to this because really it's just more the separation. But you have the leader at 1 under. You have 5th place 8 strokes out of her. Whereas in MPO, you have the leader at 34 under. And 5th place is, 7 strokes out.
I say it's not really.
It's not that.
It's not there. It's once you get down to like 20th.
Yeah.
It's usually, but also a lot of times it's between like the first 4 spots. But the problem is in MPO you have probably 40 to 50 players that on any given weekend can, and part of this is you have more players, but that on any given weekend can compete for a win. Whereas FPO it's like 5. It can't be more than 5 or 6.
But I think that's not as much as, yes, it is a player problem where, like, sure,
no, they
players could get better.
The courses could change that.
That's what I'm saying. The courses could immediately fix that problem.
Right, and I always saw the argument, like I said, I've been saying this for like 2 or 3 years of like, should we make the courses easier? And everybody's like, well, that's just dumb because you're giving a disadvantage to the best players in the world. And like, I agreed. I saw that take, and I was like, yeah, I think I'd like the product better if there were more people in contention, but I see that. Like, that is kind of silly. But it gets to a point for me where I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have it. I'd rather be able to look through, like, like 20 players are going to make the tour championship. I'd like to think that all 20 of them at some point could have a chance of winning. It's not even remotely close. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe 15 of them throughout the entire season will come close to winning a tournament or getting on a final day lead card. But like, you're gonna have all these players in the postseason that just, they can't sniff the top of the field. And so it's like, is that the best product for the viewers? I don't know. Maybe people just want to see the same like 4 to 5 players back and forth. But
that's the tough part. Is I do think it's it's the best product when the top of the field is on. So when you have, if this weekend would have flipped and it would have been Kristen and Holland absolutely battling it out on this more difficult course, that's electric.
Yeah.
But again,
that's what I'm saying. It's when they're bad.
What happens is when the top of the field, you're Kristen, Owen, Evelina, Missy, Silva Saarinen, if they have a little bit of an off weekend, there is no one to fill the gap. That's the disparity where it's like course design solves that. So is it the most entertaining as far as like what you're watching them do? Maybe not. But we're so used to the MPO product of just like aggressive birdie that it's a completely different shift. I don't know. I think I'm on team, let's make the courses easier, bring the whole field into it, and it's just going to make a better product to watch. It's kind of like, when MPO goes to Preserve or Waco and you get the like Colton Montgomery's able to win type of a vibe. It would feel like that at first, but I think longer term we would get used to like this is the product now, and it'd get more electric because every weekend it would just be, a bunch of players in contention, and you would have also the chance for like Valerie Mandujano is a very, very, very solid disc golfer, but she just has some parts of her game that hold her back, and if you're able to, bring the course a little shorter, make it more about, approaching the basket, putting, less about, ripping drives and worrying about OB, then all of a sudden she could be a player that's in contention, and she's a player she's pressure cooked. She's been through pressure. She's won AM Worlds. She's been on those things. She's a good putter in pressure situations historically. Whether or not she is right now or not, I don't know. You allow a player like that to shine, whereas right now she never gets the chance to, because even when she's on lead card, if it's at a course that just doesn't suit her, it just isn't going to work.
And maybe it's just a matter, too, of like right now the MPO Tour, which obviously the FPO is directly reflecting, is built for power and distance and then you have a few technical events, and it really just needs to be flip-flopped. Like you can have, the majority of the MPO field thrives when they can just launch hyzers, right? So I think the majority of the FPO field thrives in the opposite situation. So they just need to have
I think the other hard part,
a lineup that kind of supports that.
The other hard part is a lot of times you're listening to the top of the FPO field, right, tell you what they want.
Right. Well,
and
no kidding. I'd love to show up every single week and know I'm getting a guaranteed
that's what
top
I'm saying,
5.
Is if we listen and prefer, which makes perfect sense to Holland Hanley, to Kristen, like they're gonna want tougher courses because they want to be pushed.
They make like $50K a year in just tournament earnings because they know they're not gonna fall out of 5th place.
But is it what's best? I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you agree. Yeah. I do want to at least get to the end and say.
And I'm never going to, if somebody says, no, best players win, like there's always validity to that argument, but you can't act like the courses are being designed with really any care for FPO. Like they are just shorter basket, one more par, shorter tee. Like that's all they're doing.
Yeah. Holland Hanley overall, though, when you look at the performance totally, not just the final round, very solid performance. I mean, she played, as crazy as it sounds, she played hole 18 pretty well for the field. She went bogey and then quad, so she beat the average on hole 18 at Sprinkle Valley. She played
a little quad in there.
Fine at Sprinkle Valley, where she shot 3 over and then shot 2 over in round 2. But her big performance was the 8 under at Harvey Pinnock, where she birdied the entire back nine in that round 3. That gave her the cushion that she ended up needing to win, because she would have, if it was a tight race, she would have lost when she collapsed there, but she built such a lead that when she struggled with her forehand and with her putt and threw some OB, she had plenty of breathing room that she could still afford a layup on the final hole to tap out the win. You have to earn that. You don't just get to wake up one day and have it and be like, shoo, thank goodness when I collapsed today, I got to win. So she earned it. Won, I think this is her first win in Texas, her home state, so she said that felt very good. She said sometimes she almost wanted it too much, and she thinks that's what's holding her back at some of these events.
Holland Hanley, the cowboy hat really suits Holland.
Yeah. So there you have it. Holland Hanley, Open at Austin,
cowgirl hat, I should say.
Winner. And let us know your thoughts on Sprinkle Valley, hole 18, and the general course design for FPO in the comments. Maybe we're way off base. You let us know. Over at MPO, absolute shootout where Gannon, Nicklaus, and Kyle Klein were exchanging blows all down the stretch. If Gannon would have just made a par on hole 14 instead of a bogey, we would have had a 3-way playoff. Instead, we had to settle for a 2-way playoff.
The flex forehand situation was that was 14?
That's where he bogeyed.
It was 14. If you didn't see it, so he's kind of like, he throws his drive
Well, we didn't see it.
Yeah. He throws to where he's looking out into the opening, because you start in the woods in the hole and then you're going out onto the hillside. And from what and Gannon is, a player that I feel like the backhand was there. He's just to the left and behind a tree, and decides to try and do a step to the left, forehand, force over shot. Like, I guess he's figuring, okay, there's more airspace over there. He has long arms, so maybe the backhand he would have swung. The tree must have been in the way, because it was an awkward shot. Like, I'm watching him line it up, and I'm like, this is super difficult. Whereas the backhand, if the tree, and I'm pretty scared with trees, and I just felt like it seemed like he could like throw a force over backhand. Like, that's what he's good at. And sure enough, he sawed it off out of bounds, and that was what really cost him the tournament. And yeah, that was a head scratcher. Like, I was just like, is that really your best option right now? It was so awkward.
Yeah, because he ended up losing 2 strokes to both Kyle and Nicklaus on that hole.
And he almost had the most epic finish to the tournament ever, according to I think it was Ian. According to Ian, if Gannon would have eagled the final hole to tie in just a normal Pro Tour event from 120 feet, it would have been up there with the holy shot.
Yeah,
so
would have been. I was very bamboozled with how far he can jump putt.
Yeah, whenever he
threw
lined
a drive,
up the jump putt, I was like laughing. I was like, this is not real.
I was sitting next to Liz watching it, and like he threw a drive which would have been like circle's edge to the FPO pin. He absolutely smoked a drive on 18.
So far,
it was crazy.
I've never seen him throw.
And the basket looked so far away.
I think it was. What did they measure it? They were saying like Perkins was saying like 150. I think.
Yeah, that's what it was around there. But he was lining up just like a putt.
It was silly,
and I was like, that's not. And by golly, he basically got it there.
Once he lined it up as a putt, I'm like, oh, he's gonna make it. Like I legitimately thought he was gonna make it and then win the tournament. It was bizarre.
Which at that point, Kyle and Nicklaus, if Gannon could have made that, they still had a chance to birdie, but I mean, Gannon ended up birdieing, but it wasn't enough. Too little, too late. When he missed that putt, he knew it was kind of over.
Yeah.
Kyle and Nicklaus both go on to par, go into a playoff. So what was interesting was Nicklaus came out the gates hot. He made up 4 of the 5 strokes he needed to on the front 9. And then they both bogey hole 9, finished the front 9, birdie hole 10, hole 11. The lead card absolutely diced this hole up, minus AB. Sorry, AB, but he just had an OB shot.
AB's identity has just changed this year to like he's just like 5th place guy. Like I feel like he's just
still playing very solid.
He's just kind of chilling in the top 10, but like can't quite put it all together.
But like they were all so far out on their second shots and just putting it with precision. Because even Kyle Klein, I mean, do we have the distance of the putt he missed for his eagle on hole 11? Can I find that?
Not sure.
Fairway, yeah, 28 feet to the basket. So like he was inside circle 1 when he missed it.
They just launched on that hole.
And it was,
they're throwing like 4 hands off the tee too.
Because that's the thing is it's a 1,000-foot hole.
Yeah.
And like they had to be 450 plus, and they're just ripping hyzers, and it was just crazy to watch.
Yeah.
So Nicklaus and Gannon go on to eagle. That made Nicklaus and Kyle tied up. And then from hole 12 to 18, they just matched stroke for stroke.
It is honestly bonkers that those 2 guys, the same 2 guys that dueled last year, they played their first 2 rounds of courses that weren't even a part of the event, and they still ended up 1-2. And I was like, that's so funny. Like we just had said, like, well, don't expect it to be the same sort of thing because it's different courses. No, it didn't matter. They're just destined to meet in Austin, and once again going.
Well, yeah, I mean after Sprinkle Valley, they were 1-2 still, because they were so going into Harvey Pinnock. Because after round 1, I don't think Kyle Klein shot the hot round 1, and then Nicklaus shot 1 off the hot in round 2 to get up into second, and then Harvey Pinnock, Nicklaus fell a little bit round 1, but shot an absolute scorcher of a final, to get himself in contention.
Well,
and then
he came
ended
out
up
super hot. That was the big thing.
Ended up winning in the playoff back to hole 18. He had that hole 18 tee shot absolutely dialed.
Well, and
I don't know what he was throwing, but it was money.
And honestly, Kyle. So what the funny thing was, Kyle kind of got the iffy break in regulation to not get closer, but then I believe it was his shot in the playoff that got super lucky on his approach. Like he threw one where it was either his driver or his upshot where he turned it over and he was in the trees and it was like disbelief.
What I thought was funny was I think it was hole 17. Was that the par 3 that Kyle the Kyle birdied and he like yanked it right a little bit.
Oh yeah,
it
was a pretty long putt though.
And then it just like snuck through everything. I think it was hole 17. I'm thinking of. It was one of those
I thought you were
down
talking about his putt.
No, I'm saying his tee shot.
Yeah.
I don't think it went to. I think it got pretty close. Whatever hole I'm thinking of. It was one of the par 3s.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I thought it was 17 because 17 is the one that kind of required a like high turnover flex, right?
Oh, right.
And he basically just went inside right and somehow got out there and had like a. Let me see if this is the right hole because he should have had like a 10-foot putt if it's the hole I'm thinking of. Doesn't fully matter, but 21 feet for that one. Maybe I'm thinking of hole 15. He had a 7-footer. Regardless, he got a few lucky breaks, but it was an absolutely electric final round. Nicklaus Antela defends his Open at Austin title. He has secured the title of Finnish Cowboy at this point. We have some fun
pretty
stats.
electric.
He looks kind of good in that hat too.
He does.
Yeah,
his jawline's really been popping recently. I almost tweeted about it.
Always has.
No, but it's been popping
Nicklaus
more.
He's just a good-looking dude.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah,
well, he's got all the genes.
Well, I think we might be a little taller than him.
That's true.
He's a shorter guy.
Take that, Nicklaus.
So, but for like a Finnish guy, like maybe in Finland, that's like a pretty normal height.
Yeah, how old is Nicklaus? Because he looks like he's 17.
I think he's pretty. I mean, he's not old, but I think he's like 24, 25.
I would say probably 22, 23.
Let's see. Antela.
He looks like
age 23.
I'm a goat.
He was born in 2001.
Dang.
So he's about to be 24. Fun stats from Edwin. Funny stat, the hot round every round was 12 under. So at Sprinkle Valley, Adam and Kyle shot 12 under round 1. Calvin shot 12 under round 2.
Edwin.
Round 3, Harvey Pinnock, Paul shot 12 under, which the next best that day was a 7 under.
Dude,
so Paul actually scorched it round 3.
Too.
And then round 4, Nicholas and Ezra Robinson both shot 12 under. So
I really thought Ezra was going to catch back up. He would have had to. They really couldn't have done anything at the time where he was really heating up. It looked like he was going to have to birdie out, and then he just he missed like a 50-footer and kind of ended his hot streak. But he was going off again. He's dangerous, man. He's dangerous.
So Nicholas defended at an event for the first time this year, joining only 2 people that did it last year, with Simon at MCO and Isaac at Worlds. He led the event in Circle 1 green and regulation at 58%. Kyle Klein and Nicholas were also 2 of only 7 players in the tournament not to have a double bogey.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
He's a good course manager because he's had success at USDGC for that reason. And part of that is his angle control is what makes him elite, because his putter is streaky. He had some struggles with it. But on his backhand drives, like, he gets the most out of the disc and just gets it to land on all the good angles and like hits his lines. He's very, very consistent and smooth with that backhand.
Now, Kyle Klein led the tournament in bogey plus rate, only having 2 bogeys and 72 holes.
That's amazing.
Nicholas was second with 4. He also led in OBs with only 2 the entire tournament.
That'll do it.
He led in strokes gained tee to green at 24.66, beating Nicholas
24
in second by over 2 strokes, meaning puttings would end up separating them, as Nicholas was 89% C1X versus Kyle at 80%. And some of those, Kyle Klein, I texted Trevor.
Yeah, he chunked a few.
Trevor texted me something about March Madness. I think it was on Saturday.
It was after Arkansas.
Or Friday. So no, it was they were at Harvey Pinnock, so it was Saturday.
Yeah.
So Trevor texted me something about, because I had said the SEC was going to be overrated going into the tournament, and Trevor said something about like, your SEC take's looking pretty bad right now, and I responded and said, hey man, some of us are watching Kyle Klein putt like Evelina Salonen, because he legitimately opened Harvey Pinnock, his Harvey Pinnock round 3 with a missed like 10-foot putt. Just clanked it 10 or 15 feet. And the rest of that, like
clip.
And what's funny is he was able to like kind of stay in the lead because no one was really scoring, but he just kept giving himself putts, and he was like clank, 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 and then he finally adjusted and sailed one over the basket, and he was just getting ticked at himself because he kept giving himself looks and just could not convert. So
Kyle,
there.
man, he just needs a little more of that killer instinct. He's such a good player, and he threw some awesome forehands. Like he's got a really good game, but yeah, I think he gets a little shaky.
Then Gannon Burr had a better birdie rate than Nicholas with 2 more birdies, but lost to him by 1 stroke due to having a double bogey, which Nicholas had none, and he had 1 more single bogey than Nicholas.
Yeah, like I said, Gannon, like he drew level with the lead, or was he 1 back, or he was right?
Was level.
I believe he was level. He was right there, and then, like I said, ultimately that forehand is kind of what cost him. And he had 1 chance to make another long putt that could have helped him, but that was a pretty impressive win to get away from him, because I thought when they let him get back in, I'm like, oh, you guys are in trouble now. Like, this course doesn't really offer anything that's going to give him any trouble. Like, I think Gannon's going to take this, and they both held him off. So that was impressive in and of itself.
Final stat: Ezra Aderhold led the event in Circle 1X putting, missing only.
Let's go.
He only missed 1 putt out of 36 attempts, but he was 7th worst in the OB rate with 13 OB strokes.
Dang it.
So there's Ezra's story. All right, Manufacturer Cup update.
This is big time.
So Discmania becomes the first team to supplant Discraft. That's a big word, Edwin. Come on now. You got to know. I was an arts major. You can't be using that stuff.
I thought that it was going to really matter a ton.
Supplant Discraft as the weekly points leader, taking the entire podium in MPO. But Discraft came in a close second due to having 5 MPO players in the top 10.
It's like that is the best
coupled with Holland's FPO win. So
that's the best week that Discmania will ever get this whole year, and Discraft just doesn't matter.
They gained 3.3 points on him. So basically, Discmania leads this week with 58.3 points, but Discraft was able to still put up 55 points. So they gained some, but both Discmania and Discraft are just destroying the field.
I think we should just cancel Discraft from the Manufacturers Cup.
We might want to cancel both Discmania and Discraft, because if you cancel Discraft, it's just Discmania dominating. But because anyways, so Discraft has 170
players,
points.
I guess.
Why don't we just make the courses easier so they're closer in score?
There's just too many Discraft players, because this is still they're only factoring the top 6. So like even that's not even that valid of an argument. They're just that deep. I think Adam Hammes came in 6th again this week, and he again
Hammes is on a heater.
did not score any points for Discraft because he's their 7th highest rate
Wow.
They're so
player.
loaded.
But we'll have one more event, I believe, or 2 more events. After 5 events, that all gets shaken up again. So then Hammes will start counting. But Discraft leads at 170 points. Discraft has 106. Then you jump down to Innova at 62. Latitude moves up a spot with 50 points. They got 18.8 points this week. They jumped MVP, who has 44. DGA has 31.
Yeah. Speaking of MVP,
Speaking of him,
Eagle McMahon missed the cut.
he did, and he made a post about it.
Yeah, missed cut. Big graphic.
Yeah, I respect that. I respect the missed graphic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would have put missed cut on the picture. I respect owning up to him, being like, "Hey guys, had a bad week," but it's a little comical. Just missed cut.
Yeah. DGA, then Dynamic, then Lone Star, then Open Bag, and then Prodigy moving up with 11 points.
Pro Diggy.
Moving on up.
They got 11 points from Deanne Carey coming in 4th place.
Oh, shout out.
So, all right, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia, right after these messages.
What's up, everybody?
Missed cut.
Missed cut.
That's funny.
Okay, guys, I'm excited, really excited to bring back one of my favorite games.
Price is right.
No.
Dang it.
Is it Baseline?
Oh, I love
I've
this
got
game,
a whole
Trevor.
new lineup of wacky new disc manufacturers you've probably never heard of. And maybe
I
a
love
couple
it.
you have.
Trevor, dude, I love whenever you speak wacky disc.
And the game is simple. Is it Baseline or is it not?
What's the not? Does that mean it could be a premium plastic or it could be non-existent overall?
No, they're not made up. So it's either premium or it's Baseline.
Oh, okay.
So I want to say 1, 2, 3, and you guys are going to either say premium or Baseline.
Large respect.
We've got 9 of these. All right. Here's the first one. Geode. Is it Baseline?
Oh, that's going to be the easiest one we get
All
all
right.
day.
I'm going to count to 3 and you guys give your
Wait, are
answer.
we just saying yes or no?
You're going to say
premium or
premium
Baseline?
or Baseline.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Premium.
Baseline.
Ooh.
It was premium.
Dang it!
Isn't it because a geode's like the pretty purple and blue?
It's like a rock
Rock.
that you cut open to get crystals and stuff.
And I think the crystals kind of look like premium plastic.
So
Clearly it's not funny because clearly I was on the right line of thought.
Chumba
No, it doesn't
discs,
mean it's
they
not
have
funny.
the geode
It's
and the
still
quartz
funny.
plastic, and they're both premium.
Oh, quartz.
Yeah,
you
hit him
said.
with that.
Quartz also makes
So
sense.
what's their baseline?
They don't have
They
one
don't have
yet.
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
technically, it is their baseline if they don't have one.
That's
yet,
fair.
No,
So
they're both premium.
No.
So just
I'm
tell
writing
to a
away.
judge.
I'll figure it
I
out.
understand it.
Tell him to a judge.
He did, and he got shot down.
1-0, Hunter. Next we have Selection. That's the name of the plastic. Selection plastic.
I feel confident again.
Okay.
1,
in.
2, 3.
Premium.
Baseline.
It's premium.
I'm getting wrecked.
That feels like this is our
From
private
Eurodisc.
selection. Like this
That's
is
the right
high-
line of thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just felt like it could. But also, it kind of sounds like Kirkland's signature, or
No.
or a private selection.
Kirkland Signature makes good stuff, man. You
Well, I
hater.
know, but it's still.
I didn't
like,
say
it's
is
still
it. I
an
didn't say
off-brand.
is it brand value or off.
Also, private selection
At-
at
I think
Kroger is Kroger's brand.
But it's like they're trying to make it seem like premium. Like, hey, this is your private selection.
They are trying to make.
They're trying to make it sound premium.
So we need to look at this premium plastic. Is it actually premium? I'm just kidding.
2-0 Hunter. Next we have
I think I'm done.
Strato.
See, that could be anything.
I'm so confident.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Baseline.
At this point, if I switch
That
up,
is
I'm
the
dumb.
Stokely Discs baseline.
Oh, I should have known that.
I mean, at this point, it's not going to be 3 premiums.
How did I
in a
not
row.
know that plastic?
Could've
That's
been.
funny.
Next we have Savage.
I feel good.
3, 2, 1.
Premium.
Baseline.
It is premium
I'm dominating this game.
from Gorilla Discs.
I mean, think of it. Like Savage, that's got to be premium. You can't call
Think
your
about
baseline.
it.
You can't call your baseline Savage.
3-0 Hunter.
No, I think about it in like a class system.
Next.
If you're thinking about it in a class system, you wouldn't consider the Savage like a higher class. He's like the scrappy,
I get that reasoning.
We're also going to tear the course up, and baseline's going to get torn up by the course.
Next we have Journey Bound.
Okay. I have my line of thought.
I got it.
3, 2, 1.
Baseline.
That is premium. So it stays.
Did you choose any baseline?
It stays
Yeah,
3 to
you chose
1.
one.
Other than freaking whatever it's called?
Next,
Super glue?
we
What's it
have Claris.
called? Claris.
Yes.
Clarice? I have my answer.
3, 2, 1.
Premium.
That has to mean
Baseline from Meridian.
I
Discs.
just said premium because I assumed Konner was gonna say it. It
He's
sounded like
playing
it sounded
defense.
like a trick answer where like
Clarence has to mean
Okay.
clear in some way.
that's what I'm
Next.
saying. That's why I thought it
gotta
kind of
be
was
Latin.
like Trevor's
All
gonna
right,
trick us.
Connor,
with it.
you have to get all of the next 3 and Hunter not get them to win.
Oh, that's probably gonna happen.
Next, we have happy medium.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Baseline.
It's
Never mind.
premium.
Premium.
It's too late.
Too late. Too late, baby.
I was just gonna choose
Premium.
the opposite what Hunter chose.
I'm just now trying to play Connor's
No,
mind.
it's
and
over. You win.
When I heard medium, I was like, Connor's gonna
Yeah.
at least think.
I
didn't know what it was gonna be, but I knew Connor would at least think.
I
it's
love
baseline.
that one was happy medium and it was a premium plastic. But that was it. The last
I was
one.
just trying to say the opposite.
The
of what
last
you
two were
going to
be baseline. So yeah, we had runic plastic and bear plastic.
Bear, B-A-R-E or B-E-A-R?
That was important.
I'll never tell you.
Okay.
What the
B-A-R-E.
heck, Trev? Keeping secrets?
As in bare naked.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like a bear is naked, so BEAR.
I think I would have got that one.
Heidi Line posted, and then Disc Golf Fanatic provided a little more detail that she apparently tore her ACL
Oh no!
during teeing off on hole 1 during round 3.
Dang.
It has later been posted somewhere else that it might have been just like a
sprain.
sprain or just
I
so it
really
might not be
hope
as
so.
severe as a torn ACL. But the only post that I've seen that's like official was torn ACL, DNF due to knee injury.
Yeah,
so
how quick can you die? You have to get an MRI to get it.
yeah, the problem with disc golf and ACL is like there's a lot of rotation there, so
Yeah,
she could be
that's
out for quite a while,
That's awful.
unfortunately.
That's a bummer.
So I did want to bring that up because I saw that
Dang.
online. So
I-
little
I-
pick'em update versus Tour Life. We lost again, mainly
heck, guys?
Not
because
as bad though.
Why are you guys doing that?
they picked Gannon and Kristen. We picked Kristen as well, but Gannon earned him 15
Where
points.
the heck was Dickerson, bro?
Who did you-
You
you
vouched
guys-
He
for
came in
him.
14th.
You guys picked
Oh, okay.
Dickerson?
We went Calvin, Dickerson, Evan Smith. And Calvin.
What the heck?
Calvin.
So in MPO, we got 0.5 points for Calvin Heimberg coming
That
in
was my
10th.
pick.
Guys, what are you doing?
We only have a certain amount of money to pick.
Okay, is that what's
Yeah.
going on?
We're not-
Okay.
it's not just like
So
pick the best players.
they used most of their money on Gannon Burr.
So far, they're beating us by just picking the guarantee players. And
Seems like a pretty good
We're
way to
trying to
play.
get cute with it, but we're gonna until
well,
we
but
win.
we did pick Kristen, and so FPO we gained.
Oh,
we had
the
29
best
points.
female players?
We had 29 points in FPO. We had a great FPO week.
Yeah, because we took Dirty Silva.
We just didn't. We just didn't pick Gannon. So, anyways, we
We're-
have
we're
30
learning, though. We're
we
cooking.
have 36.8 points on the season. They have 76. We're down by 40.
Guys, he won last year.
Sweet.
What money?
it's okay.
I
We
have a
understand.
week
It was
off,
budget.
though, now, don't
It was
we?
a budget pick.
Yeah,
I
we have a
respect
week
you
off.
guys.
They got to make
We have
their
a week
way
off.
over yonder.
I
Do
respect
we even
you
have
guys.
a Silas
It was
Selects
budget-
right now?
We do have
it
a
was
Silas
budget pick.
Select. We're going to
Okay.
do our top 10 next week since we have a week off.
And,
So that'll
well,
give us more
also
time.
because our first one was so good.
That'll give us more time to think through it because
Wait,
things
wait,
definitely
Give
have
us
to
our
shift.
flowers for that, because my goodness.
Nicholas
Wait.
Antila's not in our top 10 yet, so that's
that-
definitely going to have to happen.
Well,
but
sure, but our
Yeah,
gut
so-
check one was awesome.
We'll do our top 10 next week to get into that, but it's time for Silas Selects.
Mako 3.
Make it
Silas Selects.
Connor?
Mako 3.
Jeff pulled it out of
Holy
nowhere.
crap! I
Bet
can't
you like
even
that,
tell
huh?
you how much I like
Bet
that.
you like that.
I can't even tell you. I think I might head down the 3 route.
Ooh, let's all pick 3 route.
I think it's a rock 3.
Ricky Proto Putter.
I think it's a rock 3.
The Ricky Protobar got you.
Trevor gets 0.5% of my guess if it's a rock 3.
Sage.
Oh,
Last
he's such a
fifth.
dog,
Pretty close,
dude.
Pretty close to a rock 3.
We never know where Silas is at.
Never.
I know where he's at.
Trevor did that one time.
Trevor did that one time. Blind luck. Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Absolutely. Do it. You have to do it twice or it's luck.
Dang it.
I'll never disagree with that.
Simon Lazat.
One of these days we'll get it, but today was not that day. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back next Monday. Week off this week, and then I believe
Do
next
we know
week.
that for sure? Or
Yeah,
are we
because
just
the
saying
Music
it?
City opens next event. And
Oh,
we're
right.
Gonna be
And we're
there.
going to actually be at that one.
It's gonna be hard for us not to watch coverage while we're there.
We're going to have to bring blindfolds.
We'll have to figure it out.
I've already said this. I've already packed
Trevor will still find a nut, though. Blind squirrel finds a nut.
Talk to you next week.
That is true.